This is a bank that no one has ever been able to rob. Anyone who tried to steal from it was killed. But a daring gang managed to pull off a heist at this very bank. However, the movie ends with a twist that will completely shock you. The name of this movie is Den of Thieves, meaning the lair of thieves. So let's dive into the story of today's movie. And yes, before we start the video, please give it a like because many of you don't like the videos. But this one like will inspire me to bring more great movies like this for you. This is Los Angeles, the #1 place in the world for bank robberies. Here, there are 2,400 bank robberies in a year, 44 in a week, 9 every day, and 1 every 48 minutes. That's why it's called the bank robbery capital of the world. Now, we see a moving vehicle on the road at night. It's a police truck. The truck stops in front of a restaurant, and the guards, meaning the police, get out to buy some food. Right at that moment, 5 criminals in 2 cars arrive and attack the truck. They're all wearing masks. The truck driver immediately informs their backup team that they're under attack. The criminals point guns at all the police officers present there. The moment the officers reach for their guns, the criminals shoot and kill them. They also point a gun at the truck driver and tell him to come out. When the driver doesn't respond, the criminals fire at the truck's windshield and kill him too. Within moments, the police backup team arrives and opens fire on the criminals. The criminals return fire, and in the shootout, one of the criminals is shot and killed. The remaining 4 escape with the truck to their hideout. This is the Merry Men Gang, a highly organized group of robbers. After one member's death, the gang now has 5 main criminals led by their team leader, Ray Merriman. The others are Lobo, Bosco, Donnie, and Mac. Lobo is a retired Navy SEAL, so his skills are exceptional. Bosco is a hot-headed guy. Donnie is a bartender, and people come to him to drink. Donnie gathers necessary information from those people, so he knows everything about what's happening in the city and when. Mac is Donnie's friend and the team's network engineer. He monitors their operations remotely, handling tasks like hacking or guiding them wirelessly. Mac used to drink at Donnie's bar, which is how he became good friends with Donnie and eventually joined their team. Back at the hideout, Merriman gets angry at Bosco and says, "Shooting wasn't part of our plan, so why did you fire?" Bosco replies, "That cop was reaching for his gun, and when I saw that, I shot him." Merriman says, "We've killed police officers, and that's a huge crime. We're all in trouble because of you. Now you'll go back there and see what's happening, which police officers are there, and we need to know everything." Bosco then takes a car and leaves, observing everything from a distance. The next morning, many officers arrive at the scene for the investigation. Some officers were already there, and now their in-charge arrives. His name is Nick, a ruthless and reckless senior police officer who doesn't hesitate to risk his life to catch criminals. He even shoots criminals on the spot when needed. Nick has a family, his wife and 2 young daughters. His team is the Special Forces Unit of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Do you remember the biggest thief in the Philippines who was killed by the police in an encounter? These police officers shot him. These are the same police who handle the biggest cases in the country, so we have to be very careful now. Meanwhile, Nick is sitting in the office with his team, discussing, and they learn about Merriman. Nick asks when Merriman was released from jail. They inform him that Merriman was released from jail about 8 months ago. Nick realizes that this must be Merriman's doing because he is an ex-Navy SEAL officer, and his training is completely different from that of an ordinary person. Nick asks his team if they know Merriman's current location, but none of them know where Merriman is now. Then Nick says that there was a bartender named Danny Wilson who used to hang out with Merriman. Does he still work at that bar? They confirm that Danny still works at the bar. Nick, along with his team, heads to the bar where Danny works. A little later, it's time for the bar to close, and slowly everyone leaves. Only one person remains seated there, and that's Nick. Finding Danny alone, Nick beats him up, knocks him unconscious, and takes him to a hotel. A while later, Danny regains consciousness, and Nick says, "We've been waiting here for you." Danny tells them, "You've got the wrong guy. I'm not who you think I am." Then the police start bringing up incidents from his life one by one. They say, "At 17, you were arrested for racing in a GTA race. As you grew up, you were caught for attempted murder. Then in California, you set a record for driving at top speed, and even there, you were caught by the police at night. We know exactly who you are, so don't try to act too smart. Now Nick shows him a photo of Merryman and says, "Do you still want to say we've got the wrong guy? Stop beating around the bush and tell the truth. What's your connection with Merryman?" Danny pretends not to know and says, "I don't know the guy in the photo. This picture is just a coincidence. I have no connection with that guy." Nick, now furious, grabs Danny by the throat and says, "Whether you live or die, I don't care. If you want to talk, talk. Otherwise, I'll kill you right here." Danny starts to choke, and just then, he tries to say something. Nick releases his grip, and Danny says, "You're not the real thugs of this city. We are the real thugs here." Danny then says, "I'm just a driver. Even if you put a gun in my hand, I wouldn't be able to do anything." Nick asks him what their motive was behind stealing that empty truck. Danny says, "I don't know what they do or don't do, because they know if I get caught by the police, I'll spill everything. That's why they don't tell me any of their plans." But Nick doesn't believe him. He threatens Danny further and warns him that he'll kill him. Finally, Danny starts talking. He says, "A few months ago, they all came to the bar. I served them drinks, and then we started talking. I told them I needed money, so they gave me a job." Nick asks, "Who gave you the job?" "Merryman?" Danny says, "Yes, Merryman. They knew I could drive well. Merryman gave me a car to drive, and I drove it. He liked it, and then he gave me a job. After that, we stole from a stadium party." Nick asks, "What did you do with the money from that theft?" Danny says, "I don't know, and they don't talk to me much." Nick then says, "We're taking you to jail now. Or you can keep working with their team the way you were, but you'll have to inform me about everything they're doing or not doing." Now Danny leaves from there, and as he's leaving, he gets a call from Merryman, who tells him to meet at a place tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Meanwhile, in the early morning, Nick sneaks into his house like a thief because he hasn't been home since yesterday morning, and he hasn't answered his wife's calls either. In a drunken state last night, he accidentally sent a message meant for his girlfriend to his wife. That's why he's being extra cautious while entering the house. He opens the fridge and starts eating some food. Just then, his wife comes there, and now an argument starts between Nick and his wife. At one point in the argument, Nick's wife takes their 2 daughters and leaves. On the other hand, we see Merryman picking up Danny at 8 in the morning in a car and heading toward the Federal Reserve Bank in Los Angeles. He takes them forward and says, "What you'll see is the city's reserve bank, but it has a specialty. This bank has never been robbed till date." Then he takes the entire Merryfellow team to a house next to the reserve bank, which was completely empty. Upon reaching there, he tells them, "Every street around is equipped with sound recording and image capturing systems. If you stand on the street and look at the bank for 2 minutes, security will catch you. And if they see you again, they might even throw you in jail. That's why no theft has ever happened here. But there have been about 53 attempts to rob this bank. No thief has ever managed to reach the bank's lobby, and we're going to rob it right here." Hearing this, everyone is shocked, but they were seasoned thieves, and they all agree to take on the challenge. Now Merryman plans a new heist and explains the bank to them. He says entering this bank is extremely difficult. As soon as you reach the gate, your ID card will be checked and your entire body will be scanned. They have data on every person in the world, so if you've committed a crime in any country, they'll catch you. All the money in Los Angeles comes to this bank, and all the money goes to the bank's basement. Every note's number is recorded in a computer, and then the bad notes are destroyed by a machine, along with their numbers being erased. So if someone takes a note from here and tries to spend it outside, they'll get caught. Every day, $50 million worth of notes are destroyed here, and then the dust from those notes is taken away in a garbage truck and disposed of. Now, if we can steal that $50 million before it's destroyed, we'll become the owners of that $50 million because the numbers of that $50 million will be erased from the computer, so no one will be able to trace that money. The next day, Donnie, disguised as a delivery boy, goes to the reserve bank with food, carrying 2 parcels. He delivers one parcel to a woman and hides the other parcel in a tunnel above the bathroom because he'll need it the next day. Later, we're shown that night, Lemon goes to a restaurant for dinner with his friends and family, and Nick's team also arrives there. Nick talks to Donnie saying, "I know you. We met at the gym, and we also met while playing football." Hearing this, Merriman's team gets worried. They think Donnie might be working with the police. Moreover, Nick was being rude to everyone, but Nick's team takes him away from there. Meanwhile, Merriman's team was suspicious of Donnie. They take Donnie to their hideout and ask him, "Are you working with the police?" Donnie says no, but Merriman gets furious, points a gun at him, and tells him to tell the truth. Then Donnie reveals everything that happened to him and says, "They took me one day. They know everything about us, but they're waiting for us to make a mistake so they can catch us red-handed." Then Merriman says, "Tell them we're going to rob on Friday, and we won't change this date." Later, Donnie meets Nick at a clothing shop. Donnie gets angry at Nick, saying, "Why did you say in front of everyone that you know me? They got suspicious of me and almost killed me." Then Nick asks when the robbery will happen. Donnie says, "The robbery will happen on Friday." Donnie also says, "They'll definitely pull off the robbery. You won't be able to stop them." But Donnie didn't know where the robbery would take place. He only knew it would happen on Friday. Donnie then asks Nick, "Will you arrest me?" "I've told you everything truthfully." Nick says, "Yes, we'll keep you safe." "Don't worry." After that, Nick goes to a bar where Merriman's girlfriend was dancing. Nick takes Merriman's girlfriend to a room, and while talking, finds out from her which bank Merriman is planning to rob. Nick is thrilled to learn the location. But as Nick is about to leave, Merriman enters the room. However, Merriman doesn't say anything to Nick, and Nick realizes that Merriman deliberately had his girlfriend reveal the location of the robbery. Later, we see that the Merry Fellow gang has prepared with their guns for the robbery. On the other hand, Nick and his team are ready to catch them. Now, the Merry Fellow gang goes to a bank, but it's not the Reserve Bank. It's a different bank. Robbing this bank was never their real plan, but why they came to this bank will be revealed shortly. Meanwhile, Nick's team also arrives in front of that bank, hiding in a car and keeping an eye on the thieves inside the bank. Now, the Merry Fellow gang enters the bank, takes everyone hostage, and tells the manager, "Call the police and tell them our demands. We want $10 million in a fully fueled helicopter. The longer the police delay, I'll start killing the hostages one by one." The manager makes the call. They inform the police about this, and immediately an FBI team arrives in front of the bank with the police. Seeing this, Nick becomes extremely angry because they were secretly keeping an eye on everything from here. Nick and his team wanted the Merryflower team to remain unaware that there were police in front of the bank, so that when they came out, Nick's team could catch them. But with the arrival of the police, their entire plan starts to fall apart. Now, an FBI agent calls inside the bank and begins negotiating with the robbers. However, Merriman gets extremely angry because he had instructed them not to delay too much. So Merriman orders one of the hostages to be taken to a separate room and shot. This infuriates the FBI agents outside, and they agree to comply with Merriman's demands, saying, "Don't kill anyone. We're arranging a helicopter for you." In reality, Merriman's demand for $10 million in a helicopter was part of a plan to fool the police. His real plan was something else entirely. Merriman then calls Nick and says, "Do you think we can escape from here?" Nick replies, "No, I don't think so." Merriman responds, "We'll steal everything, and you won't be able to catch us." With that, Merriman hangs up the phone. Meanwhile, we see Mac, who has hacked into the Reserve Bank system and learns that the time has come for money to be transferred from other banks to the Reserve Bank. The Merryflower gang was waiting for this exact moment. Now Merriman takes the bank manager to the locker area, where a massive explosion occurs. The police outside, hearing the blast, assume the robbers have blown up the locker. But the robbers didn't blast the locker. They blasted a tunnel. Their plan is to use this tunnel to reach the Reserve Bank. Meanwhile, Nick's team pulls up the bank's map and discovers a tunnel running beneath it. Nick immediately realizes that the explosion was in the tunnel, not the locker. He hurriedly heads toward the bank alone, leaving the other police officers stunned, as the robbers inside could shoot him. When Nick enters, he sees that the hostages are safe, but none of the robbers are there, and they haven't killed anyone. Even the girl they took to another room is unharmed. This was all part of Merriman's plan to keep the police from entering the bank. On the other hand, we see old money arriving at the Reserve Bank in a vehicle. Merriman and Lieber, disguised as security personnel, take control of the vehicle and head toward the Reserve Bank. The empty truck they had stolen earlier was stolen for this very reason. They had repaired it and disguised it as a reserve bank truck. The money they stole from the earlier bank is now being transported to the reserve bank. At the gate, they undergo a security check but pass without issue. They enter the bank and the money is sent for counting. The counting agents take 2 boxes of money for verification, and we see that Donnie is hiding inside one of these boxes with real money arranged in front to conceal him. Donnie has a machine, an image jammer, that when activated prevents CCTV cameras from generating images. Donnie turns on the machine and emerges from the box, rendering the room's CCTV cameras inoperative. He then begins stuffing the bank's money into plastic bags and loading them into a garbage truck. Their plan is to take this money away in the garbage truck. Donnie hurriedly fills the plastic bags with money and loads them into a box used for destroying seized money. Time is running out for Donnie, as the control room has already noticed that the cameras in that room are off. Donnie panics but continues his work. Meanwhile, the counting agents verify the money and confirm that everything is in order. The amount that was supposed to arrive is all there. The officer in charge orders Merriman and Lieber to leave, and they drive their vehicle out of the reserve bank. Just then, a guard arrives to check the room, but Donnie escapes through the AC tunnel to the bathroom tunnel. From there, he grabs a food delivery packet left from the previous day and delivers it to a woman, cleverly avoiding the security guard's suspicion. It appears as though Donnie, just like the previous day, came to deliver food and is now leaving. In this way, they all escape from the reserve bank. Now their task is to retrieve the money from the garbage truck. Bosco stops the garbage truck, but upon searching it, they find no money inside because the truck carrying the money has gone somewhere else. Merriman silently wonders if someone has betrayed them. His mind stops working, and at that moment, Nick's team captures Donnie. They think Donnie is deceiving them, so they start beating him. But Donnie reveals the truth about where Merriman is now. However, Merriman, the car gets stuck in traffic on the road, and the police start chasing them. At that moment, Nick spots Merriman, and Merriman also sees Nick. Now both the thieves and the police ready their guns from both sides. Meanwhile, Nick has already arrested Donnie and locked him in the car. Nick tells his team that the thieves are wearing bulletproof jackets, so no one should shoot at their bodies. Everyone should aim for their legs or heads. In the midst of this, a shootout breaks out between the 2 teams, and one of Nick's bullets hits Bosco in the head. Bosco dies on the spot. At that moment, Lebo and Merriman try to escape through the streets. One of Nick's team officers spots them and shoots, hitting Lebo, who gets injured. Now Nick chases Merriman and shoots him, injuring him as well. Merriman screams in pain, and Nick approaches him, shooting him repeatedly until he's riddled with bullets. Nick says, "I told you, you can't get away with stealing." Before dying, Merriman replies, "And I told you I'd pull off the heist." With those words, Merriman dies. What Merriman meant was that no one had ever managed to rob the reserve bank until he succeeded in doing so. Nick then heads back to his car, where he had tied up Donnie. But when he reaches the car, he sees that Donnie has escaped. Nick, along with his team, goes to the car that Merriman's gang was using. There they find piles of ruined money. Pointing at it, Nick says, "See? Their plan completely flopped. They went through all this trouble and gave their lives for this garbage." But the question nagging at Nick was how such an intelligent gang of thieves could make such a huge mistake. So he goes to the office room where the gang used to plan everything. There, he discovers that all the thieves in the gang are dead except for Donnie, who has escaped. Nick is not happy about this at all. So Nick goes to the bar where Donnie used to work and asks the bar manager if Donnie had come back to work. The manager says no, Donnie quit 2 days ago. Nick sits down to have a beer and notices that many employees from the reserve bank are at the bar. Seeing this, Nick realizes that the reserve bank employees used to frequent this bar, and Donnie would gather all the information about the bank from them. In the post-credit scene, it's revealed that Donnie was the mastermind behind the entire plan. Donnie had given this plan to Merriman's gang. In reality, the reserve bank employees would come to his bar to drink, and Donnie would cleverly extract information from them. For years, while working at the bar, he collected all the necessary information to devise this plan. He deliberately leaked details about Merriman's gang to the police so that they would kill the gang, allowing him to escape with all the money. That's why Nick found no money in the car, only garbage. Donnie had hidden all the money inside tires and sent them to London, then fled to London himself. We then see Donnie again in London, working as a bartender. A man who works at the London Diamond Exchange comes to the bar, and Donnie offers him a free drink. We realize that Donnie's next target is the London Diamond Exchange, and with that, the movie ends. So friends, how did you like this movie? Please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to give it a like. Your like inspires us a lot to bring more interesting and thrilling movies like this. See you in the next video. Until then, stay well and stay healthy.